to be here, communicating, interviewing great people, talking to the best mortgage professionals in the country. As most of you know, you are among the most successful in the country. Over 34% of the top loan officers in the country are on the Mortgage Coach team. So I'm just always looking for great people to interview to help us crush it in today's market. At the end of the day, every time a Mortgage Coach loan officer competes with an average loan officer, an app taker, I want that Mortgage Coach loan officer to win. So today I've got a special guest. I've got Realtor Glenn Bill as our guest. Glenn, welcome to the call, my friend.
Hello, Dave. It's great to be with the Mortgage Coach community again.
Good, good. Well, I think this is at least 3 times that I've interviewed you, and it might be the 4th time, right?
It may be. It's been a nice relationship, and I always love getting feedback from those loan originators out there. So looking forward to our call today, and we're looking forward to help your guys and your team win more loan appointments and more loan applications than anybody else in the country.
All right. Well, hey, I want to make sure folks know who you are. I mean, I met you at a sales rally. I've also, the fact that you were big fans of Jeffrey Gitomer, always connected with me. He's one of my favorite authors on sales. Darren Hardy is a personal friend. By the way, what did you do with Darren lately? I saw this picture. I grabbed it off of Facebook. Where was this, and what were you doing?
Well, I did Darren's High Performance Forum down in Miami, and a great experience, worth the money, and certainly would recommend it to any of your Mortgage Coach folks. And as you know, Jeffrey Gitomer, I'm honored to be one of his certified speakers, and I'm also one of his certified trainers for all of his content. So he licenses his content to me, and there's only 16 people he's put on his speaking thing, on his speaking tour. So nice to be recognized by the bald-headed wonder himself.
I love it. I love it. Well, we actually have a program. We joint ventured with Darren on his Insane Productivity. So we have Insane Productivity with Mortgage Coach, and we've got a couple hundred loan officers, mortgage executives going through that right now. So it's an awesome program. I know
it's exhausting.
It's intense. It's intense.
It is intense.
It's worth everybody.
Insane, yeah.
Now, what did you do with Tony lately? I saw this picture really recently.
Yeah, it was actually last month. I went down to West Palm and did the Business Mastery program. I'm a graduate of Tony's, all 4 of his, the Anthony Robbins University. This was, I've been to UPW a couple times, and this was Business Mastery. And I've been fortunate enough to be networking with his other businesses. Tony, God love him. When I went and did Tony Robbins 7, 8 years ago, there was no one in the hallways. And now Tony has, 20 different businesses that he's partners with in the hallways. So even when you thought Tony had it all figured out and was doing unbelievable stuff, he still managed to up his game and increase his impact and increase his income. I know he's really striving to become a billionaire, and boy, is that was more evident than ever at his last seminar. So even if you're one of the top producers out there, boy, the lesson I learned from Tony was even if you're at the top, you still got to keep moving and you got to keep growing. So an unbelievable experience at Business Mastery. I certainly recommend that people go to that, and I'll hopefully be sharing some tips that I learned at Business Mastery as well.
Well, again, there's always another mountain peak. Once you get to one peak, there's always another peak, which is a great segue to the marketplace. Obviously, rates are up a little bit. We're at a 2-year high, although we've had some gifts as of lately. They're always up and down, but I think one thing for sure, what I'm hearing from the street is that every rate shopping is happening more than ever. Big banks in many markets are really buying the market, and so loan officers are just dealt with a more competitive landscape with a lot more rate shopping. I think the whole the big story on the market right now, Glenn, it's like the timing couldn't be better to have you here. I mean, when I reached out and I sent emails to Mortgage Coach friends going, hey, you got any questions for Realtor Glenn Bill, it just, they came in because inventory is a big problem. I mean, it's to such extent, if you're listening to the recording today, the day I'm interviewing, I get an email from Tom Ferry, no inventory, 12-minute rant by Tom, which, by the way, it was a really good rant. He had some great wisdom, talked about being resourceful, talked about getting out there, getting after it. I literally, last night, I was kind of going through Facebook, and I got this from Inman, how inventory is the big problem. So, I mean, inventory is a big problem. So we're going to center a lot of the questions around, Glenn, what are you doing, and what do you recommend loan officers doing? Before I get into that, I always like to do a debrief of last week, because this is, every Tuesday, we are here to deliver the mortgage industry's best sales meeting. And so last week on Wednesday, we had Dan Rawich providing a market update. If you missed that, check it out. I mean, it was an incredible update. We also, on Tuesday, as our special guest, we had the author of the conversion code. So from a timeliness, I mean, right now, rate shopping is up, conversion is important. We had Chris Smith in here. I would love it if you were on last week's call and you got a big takeaway. I would love to know what that big takeaway was. Glenn, I know you are familiar with Chris, his book. Any takeaways you had from last week's call or from the book?
Well, yeah, I thought, obviously, I come from a little bit of a different mindset, and I'm very familiar with Chris's content. I love the double dial. I love when he said when the lead comes in, call it right back. I thought that was amazing. And ultimately, when you get into sales and sales conversion, you gotta have a formula. Attorneys talk a certain way, doctors talk a certain way, and salespeople talk a certain way. And his perfect sales call, 10 steps, I thought that was great. But conversely, there is other ways to do business. There's other ways to enjoy your business. I mean, he is a hammer, and it's awesome. I love his content, and what he is saying is correct, and I came from that world. But sooner or later, I believe that that world can grind you down, and it can. It's like, how do you want to do your business? How do you want to live your life? How do you want to incorporate your business and your life together? And although his content is fabulous, hopefully we're going to talk a little bit today about how to create a business for your loan originators where you're not banging 100 calls a week or 50 calls a day. Again, I did it. I know it works. But I know that the cold call is the #1 reason salespeople get out of business. It's the #1 demotivator. And there are certainly new ways to create opportunities. There's new ways to create leads. There's new ways to create leads where people want to do business with you. And, I understand that people are rate shopping, but let's be honest, there's a lot of people that don't have time to rate shop. The customers I work with, the thought of rate shopping is nauseating to them. And so when we talk about what Mortgage Coach can do, Mortgage Coach can position your loan originators to stop the shopping. And I've been watching the videos, and I've been following along with you. Mortgage Coach and your app just really does a great job of positioning the loan officer as the expert advisor to real estate agents. And I think what Chris said is really smart, that if you ask the right questions, if you do the research, I love that app that he put out. I forget what that was called, but that was just awesome.
Charlie? Charlie?
Yeah, Charlie. And people within the first, whether they're dealing with a pro or not. And if you're a pro and you stand out in that first minute, you know what? I think the rate shopping goes away. So all those things I thought were awesome with the call, and boy, did it really coincide with what you do.
Yeah, well, no doubt. I mean, to me, the big takeaways were attitude is, could be said it's everything. The energy you bring to the table, your attitude, which, that's your wheelhouse, Glenn. We're going to talk a lot about that. Speed to lead. and having an amazing presentation and being consistent. Just you can't be great at anything if you're not consistent about that. So guys, we are going to have time for audience questions. I'm going to be keeping an eye for audience questions. Before we get into the first couple questions, if you could just give us, I think everybody knows you love to learn. Probably most of the people on this call have heard you before, but you're an agent. I mean, you're active in the market right now. If you could just give us a minute or two on, what are you doing day to day as an agent? What's your practice look like? How many assistants do you have? And then let's get into questions.
Sure. So, you know what? We had a phenomenal year last year. We had about 5 team members. We did about 137 transactions, revenued over $680,000 in commissions, which was great. And my business is pretty much I generate the leads. I'm the rainmaker. I don't really work with buyers much anymore. Very rarely do I put a buyer in my car, but I have great people who love the idea of going out with buyers. But when you see them come in after a long day at 6, 7 o'clock showing homes, creating multiple offers, escalation clauses, it's tough. Being a buyer's agent out there is brutal, so that's why I don't do it. But what I do is generate a phenomenal amount of buyer leads, and you just had one of your mortgage coach individuals, I think it was Christy Zilto, or I forget her first name, talk about that first-time home buyer part of your app that you have. I have a hyperlocal website that has all the rentals on it. And what we have found is that we can generate just an incredible amount. We're generating 5 to 7 rental leads a day off of our website. So to incorporate, get your IDX, or tell your realtors, get that IDX platform on your website and show area rentals. You would be amazed at the people that will come. Nobody services the rental buyer, and because we don't make money, right? Unless you learn how to flip them, which gets into Chris's lead conversion. But we are flipping a ton of rental buyers right now off of our website. I'm generating an inordinate amount of buyer leads. I strictly only list property, and then what we're going to talk a little bit about today is my marketing plan and my originators is, if you're tired of dialing and prospecting one-on-one, I have a whole new philosophy, and I call it one on 200. My main focus of my business isn't to prospect one-on-one. It's to get in front of groups of people, 10 or more, 40 or more, 100 or more, just like I'm a mortgage coach today. And I want to generate and prospect to 100 at a time, not one at a time. And when I can get my agents, and the agents, I train real estate agents all over America, and they're going, oh my God. And I think it's the same thing with your mortgage guys. Yeah, you can go interview a realtor one-on-one, but why not interview 100 realtors? Or why not figure out a way to put yourself in front of a room of realtors? That's really what I'm doing. And that comes through the creation of celebrity. It comes through the creation of branding. It comes from the creation of and niching yourself into local media. It's called news hacking. It's something that actually Tony talked about at Business Mastery. But I'm constantly in the press. I'm constantly on the front of magazines. I'm going to come out on the front of our local real estate magazine. Not because I'm a real estate agent, because I'm the founder of the University of Attitude. And I'm having something called the Attitude Fest in Broad Ripple Park. So the local me on the front because I'm holding a festival at the local park, and the public is invited. So I can go knock on door after door after door, or I can do it this way. And I'm going to have 400 to 500 people in our community show up who I don't know because of, number one, celebrity, number two, I'm giving back, number three, I'm providing value. And I've just found that it's a much easier and better way to get leads. And what I found is people want to do business with me not because I'm a great real estate agent. They want to do business with me because I have a best-selling book, because I'm in the media, because I'm all over social media, and it's like they don't care to be with the attitude guy. And it has nothing to do with real estate. And it's amazing. It's just crazy what's happening.
Hey, Glenn, one thing I'm going to recommend we both do, because there's times where we're losing internet and you're kind of pixelating out. So I'm going to say let's close the cameras and see if that solves the problem. And we heard everything you said, but there were just, 2 and 3 second parts where you kind of went out. So if you could turn off the camera on GoToMeeting, and then and by the way, we've already started getting questions. So first question that came up, because you had your camera on, was what's that board behind you? If you wouldn't mind
Sure.
color around that.
So that's basically my word, track all of our transactions. So on the left side of the board, because I have a speaking business, is just simply my 90-day calendar, and that's where I'm going to be speaking across the nation. It helps me know where I'm going to be, but we also log other dates in there. Then we have our listing side. Again, we're listing agents. If you list, you last. I find it, I always think it's funny, inventory, well, it's not a problem, it's just an opportunity. And I hope the listing shortage continues, because we're gaining market share and we're crushing the market. So if people whine about it, we don't care. I mean, I'm listing the same amount of homes as I've always listed, and I can talk about how to do that. And then we have our pending board, and I think right now we have about 18 homes that are pending. And then on the other side, I have I call it my challenge slot, where I try to get every team member to list and sell, one home a week, which is the idea. So it's just my war board. It keeps my business in front of me. It helps me locate, what I'm doing. So that's what that is. Got
it. So by the way, you said you're not really struggling from the challenges with inventory, but I mean, is that something that's in your market? Are you unique in that way? Because I just know it's the #1 issue that our agents are hearing, is that everybody's in multiple offer situations, and buyers are getting fatigued and giving up, and it's an issue. So is that something market related, or is that just the way you're conducting your business?
Well, unfortunately, for anybody that works with me, is I'm the attitude guy. As problems, and I think people look for excuses, and ultimately low inventory markets are just a reflection of your attitude. I love them. Yeah, is it tougher to get your buyer a home? Yeah, but you know what? Is it easier to get buyers who've been working with agents who don't know how to win offers? And so it's like, let's start promoting ourselves on social media. If you guys follow me at the Glenville group or Glenville on Facebook, you're going to see all we do, or what I've been doing, is posting success story after success story after success story. We show success. And what happens is buyers who are losing out on multiple offers are getting upset with their agents, and they're saying, I want to go with the attitude guy. I want to go with Glenville and his group because it looks like they're winning all these deals. There's a key to winning multiple offers, and it's true. Trust me, we get people that call. I say, don't be behind the market. Be in front of the market. Use an agent that will get you your deal, right? So I have a whole strategy on how to win multiple offers. When mortgage companies bring me into markets, I train agents on how to win multiple offers. The #1 biggest way to win multiple offers is, #1, have an incredible lender who will back you up, who's hopefully known and reputable. And then #2, offer more than everyone else. And #3, have a better relationship with the agent on the other side. And so what we found is, when mortgage companies bring me into markets and we fill a room with 100 to 200 agents, number one, it creates synergy within the agents. Agent relationships are the number one most important thing in multiple offers. I don't lose many multiple offer situations because I train real estate agents in my market constantly. And I know them, and I associate with them, and I'm nice to them. And you'd be amazed at the doors that opens. So, again, I don't, I look at things on the positive side. I mean, low inventory, it's great for our sellers. Every listing we get sells in 3 days. So that's wonderful. I mean, there are homes. One of the questions was, what are you doing to get listings? Well, I mean, one thing I did is I noticed the builders are starting to come back. And I went to MI Homes. They're a national builder. And I found out who selects listing agents for their listings. They're the number one builder in Indy. And I called her, and I was nice to her. And then there's this thing called Cheryl's Cookies, right? Like, I get catalogs of stuff you can send to people to show them you care. I have 9 listings. She just listed $5 million worth of spec homes for me, right? And that's it because I have unbelievable service, unbelievable follow-up, and I'm making her job easier. But I got the opportunity simply because I was sending her food. See, this business isn't that hard. And we'll get to this, Dave. I walked through the office last night, and I should have had my freaking camera on. And I walked into 8 different realtors' offices. And I said, what's the number one most important thing a loan originator can do for you? And I promise you, and it kills me that I didn't film this, because I'll do it next time. Do you realize I got the exact same answer from all 8 agents?
We're listening.
Do you know what they said? They said communication. Now, if that's not the most boring answer in the world, I don't know what it is. But I'm talking 8 what I would call producers, strong producers, or super producers. I said, what's the number one thing a mortgage person can do for you? Every one of them said communication. And I'm going, what the hell? Why are mortgage people worried about anything else other than communication? And when we talk about, I teach people across America called the purchase mentality system. I think it's a slide that I sent you. And we talk about targeting agents, we talk about engaging agents, and we talk about closing agents. And it's like, is your marketing, yeah, there it is right in the middle, purchase mentality. Are you directing your marketing on communication? Here's the loan originators don't get. Real estate agents are not like these unbelievable, super selling people that are untouchable. Real estate agents have low credit scores, financial challenges, marriage challenges, kids that piss them off. They worry about things. They have too much month at the end. They're people just like us, right? And it's like, as much as the perfect sales call and all these strategies and formulas and loan originators who send me, 5 postcards a month and they're spending all this money on marketing, not one of them addresses what 8 out of 8 real estate agents in my office said was communication. I guess my hope and my thought is look at mortgage coach people should be looking at their marketing and saying, what does this have to do with my communication? The reason they said communication was the most important thing is that's what they feel most vulnerable about. And we've talked about this on Mortgage Coach before. The reason people do what they do is for the basic emotional need of creating certainty. And certainty, if your people are able to create certainty with a real estate agent, then they're going to own them. And we teach people how to do that, but I was blown away. I was absolutely blown away when all 8 people said communication, I went, what the hell? That's all there is? So if that's all there is, maybe we should be talking with people about, communication. And when I say communication, that means, loan originators that can think ahead, loan originators who can set expectations. It's like, what is your communication plan? Tony Robbins talked about the irresistible offer. Listening today have an absolute irresistible offer to a real estate agent that they can't say no to. And if they do, you guys should share it amongst your community. So that's a tough question. That's not easy to come up with. But, the bottom line is we need problem solvers, people that think ahead, people that can see issues in front of them, and people that set really, really great expectations with their buyers. So I don't know. I just started going crazy and ranting. I'm not sure if I answered any questions, but I think I got to a couple of these because the questions are incredible.
No,
so
you did. And first of all, I did post a link to the interview we did a couple years ago, or maybe it was a year ago. Watched like 3,000 times.
Oh my gosh.
What do realtors really think about loan officer marketing? And folks, you're all on the mortgage coach team. It is communication, communication, communication. And we all know that the best way to communicate a pre-qual to a family is with a total cost analysis with a video on it and loop it in the realtor. And obviously we're a piece to the puzzle of great communication, but between why move up now, the move up analysis, the rent versus own analysis, everybody on this call, you have the tools to provide very unique and very different communication. So hey, one question came in from Steve Grossman. Steve is one of the top 100 loan officers in the country. So I mean, we're talking an extraordinarily successful guy. And he wanted to know what agents like, you're the listing agent, and there's multiple buyers coming in. Do you like getting a call from, the buyer's loan officer, letting them know that, hey, we vetted this thing, providing some confidence around the listing, again, communicating. How does that differentiate the buyer? Can that help push it across the finish line from your perspective?
Yeah, there's no question that's going to help. That's obviously coming from an extremely successful guy. And the interesting thing for me is my son. He's a 24-year-old loan originator, new in the business, and I want to wring his neck. Hopefully he's listening to this sometimes on follow up and what you do. But Steve is exactly correct. The problem is 90% of real estate agents aren't like me. And so it's nuts, because I would encourage Steve to continue to do that. I'd encourage all of your people to continue to do that. But sometimes real estate agents get chippy. But as a best practice, there's no question, if I were to get a call from a lender and he said, hey, I know we're going into multiple offers, here's the scenario, we will get this closed, huge value add, huge opportunity, and that's somebody that I'm going to want to continue to engage with. So probably that answers the it checks the communication box big time. But what the mistake I see loan originators make is they check the communication box, they do a great thing, and then boom, they stop calling for whatever reason. I don't know why, they're busy, whatever. But certainly that's an incredible piece of advice for everybody that's on this call, no question.
Okay, great. So Eric Wiley, who actually leads 100 plus loan officers, or 100-ish, how do you prep your buyer to bid the maximum for the house that's going to have escalating offers? And again, this may be great, you're a listing agent, you're not doing a lot of buyers, but what advice do you have, if there is a piece that the loan officer does, great, but at the end of the day, we want our loan officers just to, be experts. So whether this is something that is something they should do or not, any wisdom or advice you have on buyers prepping to get the best deal when they know they're going to be competing?
Well, I think certainly the loan originator plays a part in it, right? But we need to understand that real estate is the most emotional sale in America. There is no product or service that is more emotional than real estate. I compare it to a copier sales guy, and I'm like, when's the last time your customer, as a copier sales guy, put his arms around the copier and started crying because you're selling the copier, right? The houses and real So preparing a buyer to win escalation and multiple offer situations is more an exercise of emotional mastery than it is of skills and all that. Number one, we have escalation clauses here in Indiana, which is great, which means you say we will offer up to this price, but we'll only pay you $500 or $1,000 more than the current offer. So I walk them through the escalation clause. We talk with our loan originators, and with the app that you guys have, it shows an extra 10 grand may not necessarily mean a lot. And so this doesn't really tie it in, but my message to your mortgage guys and gals out there is the more you can tap in emotionally with my realtor, and I train buyer's agents, I have buyer's agents, I'm in the conversation every day. And it's more about how they feel, right? It's more about their attitude. It's more about okay, if it's $5 a month for the next 10 years, that's $600. And if you're working with a high wealth individual or somebody that's making some money, it's like, do you really want to spend another 40 hours? And if you're making $500 an hour, 40 hours of doing this is going to cost you 20 grand. So I try to put the time value of money on my client, especially if they're successful, number one. Show them the relative investment to push it up, number two. Number three is, hell, if it doesn't appraise, you don't have to buy it, right? So go ahead and offer them the moon. If it doesn't appraise, you don't have to go through the deal. But it's easy for new guys or for old guys like me that have lost deals. See, I don't lose deals because I've lost enough. And I hate it when buyers say, well, gosh, Glenn, I would have paid 10 grand more. We had a buyer that paid $23,000 over list last month or last year. And you know what? They love us. They love us. What you can be helping your agents understand is when you're an agent that loses, when they're at a cocktail party, you're a loser agent. And as uncomfortable as it may make you feel to go 10, 20,000 above list, when they're at a cocktail party, you're the winner agent. So as painful as it may seem that I talk people to make super high offers, people always talk about how Glenn got us the home. You go with Glenn, he'll always win. Yeah, you're going to pay more, but you always win. I mean, for God's sake, if Trump taught us anything, people want to win. And that's what I focus on. It's just emotionally being able to handle paying above list price or outbidding people, and you try to make it a win and lose. That's how I prep it. But I think most of all, people are tired, they're overwhelmed, and quite honestly, going out and looking at homes and losing 4 homes is not fun. And so I train our buyers that we're playing to win. And if I can get them emotionally with me with that, then you know what? We win, and that's what we do. That's how I do it.
Got it. So folks, I also just put in a link to a little 6-minute clip from an interview I did with Danny Harani and the Gaylord Hanson team, one of the top teams in the country, called the counter offer analysis. And this is something they do for a lot of their agents. Let's face it, when they're in the hunt to buy a home, people don't like to buy overpriced. But when you could put together it's kind of a combination between a why buy now and just showing that, look, yeah, you're paying 20,000 more or 10,000 more, but let's look at the big picture. That if you do believe real estate's going to continue to appreciate, look at your net worth over 5 years. And if you do believe that rates are going to go up, heck, all you need is a little bump in rates, and you know, your monthly payment is the same as that $10,000 to $20,000. So if rates go up 0.5%, you know what? Your monthly payments, you know, I don't want to represent a specific loan amount, but that counter offer analysis, top agents love that, and loan officers that can do that can really differentiate in today's marketplace. So, you know, one of the things I love about this market is it helps the mortgage coach loan officer separate themselves even more than they already do. So I also put in a link to that counteroffer analysis. So Glenn, we're getting blown up with questions. You know, I had a lot of questions on the list to ask you, although a lot of folks are putting questions in the GoToWebinar control panel. Dave Kelly just asked, you know, this is very tactical, but I think it's a good question. Is it better to call, text, or email when it comes to communicating with agents? When I call, it seems to go to voicemail, and they don't return my calls. I find that texting gets a better response. How do you answer that, Glenn?
The best way to communicate with an agent is to promote them on social media. Follow them, like what they do, share their listings, become a fan. So I would say do none of it. So what I say is interject yourself in their business. And all of the above is probably the right way to do it. You're going to have different agents that say different things. But I can assure you, and I can tell you, that if you are checking them out on LinkedIn, if you're checking them out on Facebook, if you're following them on Twitter, if you're sharing their stuff, and if you're promoting their business, they're going to reach out to you and go, hey, man, I really appreciate that. Or whether they're going to say, hey, I've noticed that you've been helping me with my business. So I think that's the most effective way to do it. The bottom line is cold calls are dead. And when we talk about the approach for a realtor, and this is old news. This was from the very first call I think I did with you. You need to know something about that realtor. One of the things we teach loan originators is, you know, don't do business with realtors that aren't like you, because realtors that aren't like you aren't going to use you. And big producers, I think we make the mistake of going after these mega producers and these top agents. We covered this on our very first call. You know, the 4 different level of realtors. You got your super agent, your mega agent, and I have strategies to go after them. You have your strong producer, which is 3 to 4 transactions a month. There's a way to approach them. And then the producer, which is 12 to 36. I mean, I would be trying to look at LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. Find 10 agents who are aligned with me. If I'm a soccer coach, I'm finding agents that are involved in soccer who have kids in soccer. If I'm involved in the symphony or I like the symphony, that's what I'm looking at. If I'm involved in Kiwanis, I think sometimes instead of closing our eyes and cold calling and interjecting ourselves in an agent's life, we could be a little more strategic. We could target them in a much better way. Then we can engage them and follow them through social media, and you're going to find that they're going to be much more willing to talk with you and engage with you. And then, you know, lastly, you're going to see a lot of agents that have, you know, other interests that you can help support. I think I have, if you go back to my flyer, I had the Clarity Summit. So I do seminars for 16 people at a time, and I hold it. It's called the Clarity. Probably the next one, Dave. And it's a 1.5-day seminar where all we do, there it is. We just did one last month. All we do is work on creating the clear vision for your life, for your relationships, and for your business. And it's amazing what happens at that event. Well, I had a title rep that was smart enough to join my Clarity Summit. Now, she was with Fidelity National. She's an awesome person, but she threw herself into my Clarity Summit. I never gave this title company one order for 10 years. They fired their agent. This gal comes on. She researched me. She saw what I did. She came to the Clarity Summit, and I gave her 6 orders last month. So how easy is that? I mean, that's pretty simple. And I just think sometimes we make this business really, really hard. And if you can support the agents you want in their bigger mission, and if you can, and if it's a bigger mission that is aligned and paralleled with you, that's when you become irresistible to real estate agents. I mean, we don't really care about rates. We don't care about programs. One of the great things that I learned at Business Mastery with Tony is stop falling in love with your product or service. I mean, just stop it. Just stop falling in love with your product or service. Fall in love with your customer. And the loan originators that learn how to create that love relationship with whatever agent they're targeting or approaching, right, or engaging or closing, those are the guys that win. That title rep, I don't care what her fees were. I didn't care what her sales process was. All I cared about is she supported something I did, and I gave her business. And I think on one of our things, Dave, we said, you know, what are the top 10 reasons you give loan originators business? And I mean, we were getting outrageous comments, right? I think it was on the one that's got that 2,900 views. And like, we give business to loan originators for the stupidest reasons in the world. And it has nothing to do with your product or service, but it has everything to do with your relationship and or your circumstance to that agent. I mean, we had guys saying, well, I gave the one loan originator because my best friend's going through a divorce and he's a loan originator and she has to get her child support payment. So that's why that loan originator got a loan. I mean, the answers were bizarre. So yeah, you might want to go back and check some of that, because it makes no sense why real estate agents give some loan originators business. To encapsulate that, though, is once you have that relationship, which everybody knows, and you've heard it a million times, it's very tough for us real estate agents to leave them, because we're creatures of certainty and we don't want to change. And as long as you bring it home when you get the opportunity, you know, you're going to have a realtor for life. So realtors are very, very simple people, and they need to be approached in a simple manner. We're mostly ADD. Too much information drives us nuts. And if you can just make it about us, that's when they fall in love with you and give you the opportunity.
Love it. So let's drive some tactics. I mean, first of all, I think, you know, people ask, hey, how do we get a meeting with a top realtor? I think you've answered that in various ways. How to communicate. You know, also, hopefully everybody's getting a takeaway is that there is no right answer. These are good answers. They apply to a lot of agents. But, you know, I think the wisest thing you said is just find the right people that you will naturally connect with, authentically have things in common with. And obviously, you know, they have to have a certain level of productivity and success. So one of the trends that we're seeing in our community, Glenn, are a lot of loan officers are helping agents get listings, whether that is go through their own past client list and try to, you know, have the move up conversation. We're hearing that people don't realize, you know, one, how much equity they really have, and if they knew their equity position, if they knew, wow, I could really set myself up financially by moving up, they would move up faster. So you know, this is on the thing right now. I have Danny Harani, again, one of the top loan officers in the country. He's not only you know, promoting to his past customer database this move up strategy, but he's getting his agents to say, yeah, I got, you know, out of the couple hundred families that I've served, I can think of 10 that would be most likely to move up. You know, put this thing together for them. Let's go tell a story. Let's go tell those 10 families why they'd move up, and they're leaning on their mortgage coach to do it. What are your thoughts on strategies like this?
Well, I mean, I think it's brilliant. But I think there's a lot of brilliant ideas that never get done. I think it's a lot of work, and you know, I say it all the time. People aren't willing to do the hard work that makes sales easy. So I would say that Danny is probably 1 in 100. When that's that's a pretty big program. I think it's brilliant. I think any agent would say, yes, I will do that. I think that's hard to say no to. I think that's an irresistible offer. How I'd like to help you engage your CRM and possibly help people, move up. Who's going to say no to that? I mean, that's brilliant. So that strategy works. And if you have time as a loan originator to do it, then, by all means, you should do it. And I think a lot of agents would be accepting and excited to do that. I think the trick, though, is how to promote that to 100 agents at one time instead of 100 agents one at a time. And this gets back to my philosophy and how I'm seeing marketing change is like, you can do business one-on-one, but we need to get out of our box, we need to get creative, and we need to be presenting that idea to 100 people at a time. That creates fear of missing out, obviously. And, obviously with social media, there's ways to do that. So that would be my challenge to anybody. Don't call one at a time. How can I get in front of a group of people, offer that, and then say the first 5 to respond are good? I mean, in the pure prospecting sense of that. So brilliant idea. Love it.
So folks, if you don't know what we're talking about, I put a link to Danny's video. This was a 10-minute interview that we had. Plus, I put a few links to his move-up analysis. We also have Kelly Zitlow's rep versus own analysis. Check those out. They're great strategies. So this just came in from a mortgage coach client. It's actually in the GoToMeeting control panel. So let's say we have some natural connections with the agents. We've got the meeting. What are some of your recommendations on the best questions to ask to get their business? Any wisdom on just what are the best questions from your perspective?
So, the best questions to ask, in my opinion, are personal questions. I know that sounds crazy, right? But I think you need to go into it and be Oprah Winfrey. You need to treat them like a celebrity. You need to be interested instead of being interesting. And I think it goes to, I think these are questions like, so tell me, how have you become so successful in the business? I think that for a super mega agent, I think for a new agent, and again, I think the gold is in agents that do 24 transactions or less. That's where the gold is to me, because you can help them. They want your help. You can help them. And boy, if they hit, they'll never leave you. So I'll try to come up with 10 questions off the cuff that I would want to hear. Glenn, how did you become so successful? What causes you the greatest concern about the real estate market? What is the biggest challenge that you're facing when it comes to listings? What is your biggest challenge that you're facing when it comes to buyers? How long have you been married, or how long have you been divorced? Tell me about your kids. Do you coach? What community activities are you in? Tell me what you like to do outside of real estate. Who are your favorite mentors? Have you been to a personal development seminar recently? Have you been to any seminar recently? So, that's what I would be hitting at. I'd be trying to get them to open up and talk about themselves. I'm not sure what Jeremy Forcier's questions were, but hopefully mine were the same or better. But I think hopefully it's the idea that agents, any customer, I went into a listing yesterday, okay, and I had all my information presented. I didn't even present it. I had it, and most of my listings are like this. I walk in, they know who I am because I know how to create celebrity, and I know how to be bigger than the business. And I walk in, and it turns out she was a former realtor. And she bitched and complained about her sales manager for 30 minutes. And I told her, the greatest people in the real estate market are the sales managers, and so are the worst people. And she laughed. And we talked about her and her family, and we talked about why she loved the home. And at the end, she said, I said, you need to be listed at this price. She said she wanted a different price. I agreed. She said, well, let's just go ahead and sign it up. I didn't show her one comp. I didn't show her one thing about my marketing plan. All I did was sit and listen to her talk about herself, talk about her situation, talk about her emotions and her feelings and how she feels about selling it and where she wants to go. And what's her life going to look like after I put $70,000 in her pocket? That's a great one, right, when you're on a listing. So, I mean, another quick, it's not about your product or service. It's about your customer. And the more in tune and the more interested you are in people as people, what I've found is that they'll do business with you whether you're good or not or have all this other stuff. I started in this business at 19 years old and was the #1 listing agent in a 70-man company. I knew nothing. But what I did know was that I was enthusiastic and I was interested. When I asked, why did I get the listing over all these superstar agents, they said, you're the only one that was enthusiastic and you're the only one that asked us questions. So I figured it out from there. And, that's got me into 28 years of doing this crazy business. So I forget what you asked me. But the bottom line is those are the questions that you should be asking. That's what you should be digging for.
Now that's, first of all, you and Jeremy, you both had the same big picture, be curious, ask questions, and again, I don't know how many times we repeated, ask the question, shut up, and be curious sincerely. And out of your 10 questions, you had 3 of his 5 were there, and that's a quick, I think it's less than 5 minutes, highly recommend it. Jeremy is one of the top 100 loan officers in America. And he, leads, a very big group of loan officers. So check it out, and totally aligned with Realtor Glenn Bell. So hey, I know you've got some really exciting things coming up. I want to make sure we talk about the Attitude Festival. Everything you do, I am passionate about. The energy you bring, the wisdom you bring. Mortgage coach community needs to know about this. And by the way, folks, what Glenn is going to share next, it's a strategy for you to get out, talk to agents, and to engage with agents in a very positive way. So tell us about what's coming and tell us how they can get involved.
Very good. Now, Dave, I'm not sure. Is there attitudemovement.com possibly? Go up and down a few. There it is. So thank you so much for allowing me a couple minutes, and I appreciate the people listening in. I started Global Attitude Awareness Day. I would love for every person who is listening to engage with me on this. If you want, you can call me or email me, but it's a very simple thing. We know that there are 3 things that can immediately change your attitude. Number 1, change your state and get moving. Number 2, be full of gratitude and engage your customer base. Fall in love with them and show them that you're grateful. And number 3 is to simply volunteer, right? So on April 15th, 2017, now you can go to the Attitude Fest if you want, we are going to have people from all over the world. We have 23 different countries being represented, 31 different states. And the idea is that you contact your customer base. And this doesn't need to be expensive, but have them meet you at your office. And it can go as simple as this. Hey, I'm participating in Global Attitude Awareness Day. This crazy guy out of Indianapolis is doing it. And we are just going to be promoting attitude awareness. And I'd love you to come into my local mortgage company or my office. I'm going to have donuts and free coffee. And we're going to do a 1-mile walk, which is pledge number 1, get moving. And we encourage you to invite one of your family members who might need a little attitude awareness or whatever. And what does this do? Number 1, it gives you the opportunity to contact your client base. Your realtors, have your realtors invite their people, and allows you to create an event on April you to become part of something bigger than you, which is number 10 on my attitude boosters chart. So you get your people. It allows you to give them thanks and be grateful. You go on a walk, you take a picture of you and all these people, and you do the hashtag, which was just up there, attitude movement, or hashtag GAAD, and we're going to try to break the internet. My goal was to have 1 million people for this, and we're going to be doing it next year, and we're going to have we've just the blood drives. The people that run the blood drives are all over this. We're going to have the biggest blood drives in the cities all over America. But here's what I want you to understand. Number one, you contact your customer base. Number two, you engage your customer base and have them come to your place of business. Give them some donuts and some coffee. It might cost you a couple $100. Number three, take a picture of you and your people and post it to Facebook and tag me. But here's the real thing that's cool. If you contact your local media, whether it be newspaper, television, or radio, they're always looking for good stories. We have AttitudeFest2017.com, but again, this is low impact, doesn't take a lot of time. It can be about an hour to engage your base, and let's face it, if you get 10 or 20, that's great. If you get more, that's fine. But it's an opportunity for you to get free local media if you really want to do it. If you like the idea, if you want to show gratitude towards your realtors, your customer base, if you want to find one more creative, fun way to contact them, understand who is this going to be attractive to. This will be attractive to people in your base that have great attitudes, that are out there, that are usually social, that will brag about you, and it's a win-win-win, and it literally costs you nothing. So I'd love you to come check us out at attitudemovement.com. Feel free to email me or Facebook message me. Dave, maybe go to the next one. That's a great way to engage your base and become a part of Global Attitude Awareness Day. We'll be doing it every year. And I'd love to see one or two of you at least say, yeah, Glenn, I'm going to try it, and that'll be good. But again, what you're doing is creating a walk, client appreciation, or what you can do, that volunteer piece. And we're a little late. Go ahead back down to that volunteer piece, Dave, if you want. But if you know and you're targeting an agent that is huge in a volunteer organization, tell them that you want to benefit that organization and have them come to your attitude walk. Have them come to your attitude awareness day, and you'd be surprised at what may happen. If somebody's really involved with the Cancer Society in whatever city you're in, tell them that you want to promote the Cancer Society. You're creating this small event, and this is something that you can do year after year. Real estate agents are good people, and they have bigger causes. And if you can help real estate agents with their volunteer or bigger causes, incredible strategy. Has nothing to do with real estate, right? But you'll get it. And then, Dave, if you want to go to the next slide real quick for commercial time, if that's okay.
Yeah, no problem. Well, I think okay, this one.
Right there. So if you want to create awareness in your market, if you want to have realtors get trained, or if you're a mortgage partner that has 50 to 60 loan originators working for you, I'd love to come to your market. I'd love to talk with you about how we can increase your purchase business. My source of sales training program is 5 pillars of how-to real estate sales training. We can fill up a room of real estate agents and train them. They'll be very thankful. You can also have me train your mortgage originators, getting inside the hearts and minds of a real estate agent. Sometimes it's good to have your customer let you know what they think. If you liked what you heard today, we can do that. And then, you know, the Clarity Summit, that's a high-level summit for probably owners and managers. Our next one's going to be in June. So if you would like to engage with me, go to universityofattitude.com, hit our Facebook pages, reach out to me. I'd love to work with you and your team. I'm sure that we will increase your sales at least 50%. I'm sure that I will give you ideas that are worth $10,000 directly to you if you have me out to your market. I'm headed down to Fayetteville, Arkansas. If anybody's in Arkansas, you can come see me speak. I'll be working with a group of insurance agents on Thursday morning. So if you're down there, let me know, and I'd love to come meet you, and you can come to the seminar we're doing.
All right. So, folks, before I even showed this slide, I had 2 mortgage executives in questions actually asked me for your contact information, Glenn, and I had a text. So this is a great strategy, bringing you out into the market.